Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing fine in these very weird times. And today I bring you a new video and a very cool free resource for you that you can download to help you. So this video is all about writing your character before actually drawing it. So I'm going to give you a template to help you. I'll give you this to fill or you can make your own. So when creating a new character, there's 4 questions that you need to ask yourself about them. The first one is who. So you'll want to write their name, their age, the race of them, if they're human, if they're a vampire, an elf, a goblin, if they're Caucasian, if they're Asian, things like that. What are their hobbies? What are their personality traits? Take your time thinking about these traits. Sometimes people will rush this and they just want to get into drawing, and I completely understand that, I like that as well, but I think that knowing your character, knowing everything about them before drawing can be really helpful into making the decisions you need to make later on when drawing them. So for example, okay, maybe some things you don't need to know right away. The name, I know the name is really hard, but luckily for you, I do have a video on many ways to come up with a name for your own characters, so do check that out as well if you're having some difficulty with that. I think that creating a name can be a bit hard sometimes, but it's actually really fun to come up with one. Think about who your character is, and then we'll go to the next part of our character sheet, which is what. What are their likes? What do they dislike? Their goals and their fears. Again, especially the goal is really important because you'll want to know what they're searching for, what do they want, and this will make you easier to draw them in different situations and actions that they're doing. The same thing with the dislikes and fears. For example, if your character is afraid of spiders, you might want to draw them in a scene with a very big spider and they're really scared of it and don't want to fight it, they want to run away. But instead they're going to be very brave and fight the spider anyways. So all these things will help you give ideas to draw your characters in. Maybe they really like to read, so you'll draw your character with a book, for example. So all these things will really help you. Next we have when you're done with all the likes and dislikes, goals and fears of your characters, when you're done with the what of your character, it's time to decide where. Where has your character been in the past, where are they right now, and where do they want to be? Now this one can be a little bit harder, but you can, for example, inspire yourself in places you've been in real life. You can inspire yourself on other stories that you've seen on fantasy or sci-fi settings, but answering the where of your character can be really helpful for when choosing their outfit. For example, someone that lives in the mountains, in the middle of the snow, will have a very different outfit from someone who lives by the coast, for example, or in the desert. Another thing is, imagine that you're in a fantasy setting and your character lives in the city. There are 2 types of characters in the city, right? So you have the rich, the nobles, and then you have the peasants. So the kind of clothes they use, depending on this, will be different. So you see, knowing where your character is going to change the way your character moves, the way they dress, the way they do their hair, all these things. Then our last question is when. So what year is all of this happening, and for example, what season? Again, the season thing, depending on which season your character is living, they will wear different kinds of clothes. So for example, if it's the summer, they'll probably wear t-shirts, dresses, short sleeves, shorts, and if they're living in the winter, they will want to wear trench coats, they will want to wear some boots, some sweaters. So the season they are in is going to be very different. And of course, it doesn't need to be a season that you know it exists. You can come up with your own season. For example, the purple season, where there's purple rain for about the month, and it turns everything purple, so people need to wear a specific outfit to protect them from the purple. I don't know, it's silly, but maybe it works for any kind of story. It doesn't matter if it's silly or not, as long as it works for your own story, so don't be afraid to come up with something new. And now the year will also be very helpful for you to choose the outfit, the way your character walks around, what kind of, if they're wearing weapons, what kind of weapons do they use, the way their hair is styled. So it can be a modern setting, for example, maybe they live in the 80s, or on the other hand, they live in the Middle Ages, so their looks will be very, very different. So all these things will really help you into creating your character. So don't be afraid to spend a lot of time in this. Really think about your character and the things you want for them. Now finally, we have a small square for the notes, and this is the place that you will add anything about your character that didn't fit anywhere else. For example, do they have a scar in their belly? Or they once broke an arm while chasing butterflies? I don't know. Anything that can help you flesh out your character and have value for you, write it down. It doesn't matter if it is silly, if it will be used in the drawings of your characters or not, write it down, because maybe if you're creating a story for them, I don't know, maybe you'll end up using this character for a comic book. And these things will be important for you because maybe you'll want to mention them as you go with the story. So think about this. Write everything that you think is important about your character. Now you might have noticed there's a small empty square in the character sheet, and this is where you're going to add an avatar of your character. So after writing them down, after drawing them, drawing all the possibilities that you can think about your character and drawing a final version of them, pick up an avatar and add it to your character sheet. This will make a complete character sheet of your character, so this is good for you whenever you need to come up with new stories and ideas for them. This can also be helpful if someone else is drawing your character and they want to know more about them. You can send this to them. And I think overall character sheets are always really helpful. I always write about my characters. Sometimes it's more complex, other times is a bit more simple, but I find that every time I write about them, and the more I write about them, the more fleshed out they become, and I get attached to them even more as well. So write your character before drawing your character. And if this video was helpful for you, remember to like and subscribe to see more like this. Don't forget, you can download this character sheet in the link in the description. And as always, keep on drawing.